Welcome back to Life as We Know It. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. If you're here, you're probably here for the final and third part of the documentary, All the Rappers Currently Locked Up, Part 3. If you haven't seen Part 1 and Part 2, definitely go check that out. They're right on my channel. Highly recommend it. Almost imperative. You don't want to watch Part 3 without watching Parts 1 and 2. And we're on our road now to 300 subs. So if you haven't already, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not going to talk too much more. Let's jump right into part 3 of the doc. Tsu Surf is a Newark, New Jersey battle rapper who's best known for his versatile lyrics and dominating presence. He started his career in battle rap over a decade upon his release from prison. The rapper is now being held on RICO charges. According to the article at Rolling Stone, Tsu Surf pled guilty to RICO firearms charges. He faces up to 30 years in prison and up to $500,000 in fines. The Newark battle rapper Tsu Surf has pleaded guilty to racketeer, influence, and corrupt organizations, RICO, conspiracy charges in connection to his involvement in the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips in New Jersey. He faces up to 30 years in prison. According to a statement released on Friday by the U.S. Attorney's Office, District of New Jersey, Tsu Surf, real name Rajon Cox, pled guilty in federal court on Thursday to 2 counts of superseding indictment charges him with RICO conspiracy and possession of firearms and ammunition by a convicted felon. His sentencing is scheduled for September 12th. Now, I've heard of Tsu Surf before. I've seen him on countless interviews. I know he's on Vlad. He doesn't hide at all that he's associated with the Crips. I'm just really surprised that such a big battle rapper, especially, like, I don't know how they get paid or whatnot, but I'm just so surprised that he's hung up on these charges. But let's keep going. 42 DUGG is a rapper from Detroit, Michigan, who's currently signed to Yo Gotti's CMG and Lil Baby's 4 Pockets Full. He's best known for his collaborations with Lil Baby, Future, and many more. Now, 42 DUGG's case is very interesting. He was supposed to turn himself in initially for a gun charge and was only supposed to serve out 6 months. He never turned himself in and now has been sentenced to 1 year for failure to report to jail. According to the article by Double XL, 42 DUGG, born Dion Hayes, was given a 1-year prison sentence on April 26 for failure to surrender for service of sentence. This comes after the Detroit rapper pled guilty back in February of 2023 for evading his sentence. Additionally, 42 DUGG has to also serve 3 years of supervised release after his prison bid, as well as pay $20,000 in fines and not use illegal drugs. The case stems from 42 DUGG's arrest in November of 2020. It's a federal gun probe. The 29-year-old rapper was convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm and sentenced to 6 months in a West Virginia prison camp. DUGG was supposed to begin his sentence on April 12, 2022, but failed to show up. Federal agents arrested him on May of 2022 after he landed in Detroit on a private plane for failure to surrender. Now, I'm not sure why 42 DUGG didn't turn himself in, especially if he would only have to serve out 6 months in a camp. I personally would have probably just got it out the way. 6 months was going to go by real fast. He could have came home, continued to do his music, go on tour, make up that money. He was going to have to be under supervised release, so he would pretty much be on probation for 3 years and have to probably drop piss and do different things. But I feel like for a rapper like 42 DUGG, it's something that you should do in order to continue your career and your trajectory. I know jail can make some rappers hotter when they come out. I don't know how this will affect his career, if it'll ultimately build him up or slow him down, but we'll see what happens. Let's keep going. CASANOVA is a Brooklyn, New York rapper who emerged on the scene in 2016 with his single Don't Run. He signed to Roc Nation. He's also been in a couple beefs, the biggest being with 6ix9ine when I remember he shot up Barclays, and it was like a big story on the news, but he was never arrested for any of it. But it did come up during the 6ix9ine trial. But that's not what got CASANOVA 15 years in prison. CASANOVA was actually sentenced to 188 months in federal prison for gang-related racketeering charges charges and narcotics. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New York, Casanova was sentenced to 188 months in prison for racketeering and narcotic offenses arising out of his leadership role in the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation Bloods. As part of the racketeering conspiracy, Senior participated in a shooting in Florida on July 5th, 2020, and a robbery in New York City on August 5th, 2018, and conspired to traffic over 100 kilograms of marijuana. According to the indictment, public court findings and statements made in court, since at least 2004, the Gorilla Stone has been brutally violent street gang with a national presence that founded by Senior's co-defendant Dwight Reed, aka Dick Wolf. Gorilla Stone has many members across New York State, including throughout New York City, Westchester, and the New York State prison system, and all over the country, such as in Florida, where Senior engaged in substantial criminal contact. Gorilla Stone is comprised of various sets or caves. Gorilla Stone is a highly organized and efficient street gang with an organizational commitment to violence that strictly enforces its internal laws. Now, they're saying that Casanova played a big part in this. They're saying he was a part of multiple murders, multiple shootings. He was involved in a drug deal, gunpoint robbery, brutal slashings. He participated and he associated with the gang. He was pretty much a high-ranking and powerful member of the gang, and while incarcerated for over a decade, has remained an active member ever since, and including upon his release in 2013. They're pretty much saying Casanova is a menace. I know they tried to say that, or it's not even alleged, he pled guilty to it now, but he's been a member and associated, and there was tons of stuff. There's including evidence in, Instagram DMs, all on different social medias and stuff like that. So Casanova is pretty much going to serve out 15 years. It's in the feds, unfortunately, so it'll probably be the entire time. So I'm not sure what'll be of his rap career when he comes out, but another rapper in jail. But let's keep going. TK is a rapper from Dallas, Texas that rose to the scene in 2017 with his breakout single The Race. What a lot of people didn't know was that The Race was actually based on a true story that TK was actually living and was actually on the run currently from the police. I remember during that time there were like a lot of funny clips and videos going around, and I remember one night I checked my phone. I think it was the night. I'm kind of famous, but I'm in jail and gay. Now, we don't condone rape here. We don't condone any of that sort. I hope that's not happening to TK. But TK received a sentence of 55 years in prison for his role in a murder. According to NBC Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, Arlington rapper is headed to prison for murder and robbery. A Tarrant County jury sentenced 19-year-old TK to 55 years in prison for murder and robbery. He was found guilty on Friday for the more serious charge of capital murder, which would have carried a minimum or a mandatory 40-year sentence. He was accused of participating in a home invasion and robbery in July of 2016. During the robbery, 21-year-old Ethan Walker was killed. The jury sentenced him to 55 years in prison for murder, plus an additional sentence of 30 years. 13 years and 13 years on the robbery charge, since there were 3 victims. Because he was a juvenile when the offenses were committed, he was allowed to serve those sentences concurrently. The jury began deliberating Thursday after an emotional testimony from the victim's mother. The defense attorney didn't call a single witness. Closing arguments were Thursday afternoon, and the jury was handed the case at about 3 p.m. TK also recorded The Race that received about 173 million views on YouTube. He waves guns in front of it in real life, in front of a wanted poster of himself. The video was released the same day he was captured in New Jersey. Separate from the criminal case, the victims and the family filed lawsuits against him, and promoters arguing they should not be allowed to profit from the crime. Now, I do agree with the family. You shouldn't be able to profit off of a crime, especially when you definitely killed someone's family member. That's not cool. That's not in any way, shape, or form right. So, I mean, my condolences go out to the family. I hope TK is able to hold his head high. I did see that he was pushing for a second chance in his adulthood. He was essentially railroaded as a juvenile, but in some of these states it's perfectly legal. And when you consider everything he did, I'm not going to say that he deserves it, but I'm not going to say that he didn't as well. people can change, but is he gonna necessarily change from this? I remember hearing stuff he was making gangs and stuff, so he might need to sit down for a couple of years and just get some rehabilitation. But on to the next person. Let's keep going. Now, YNW Melly is a Florida rapper who is currently on trial for double murder. He has a bunch of songs: Murder on My Mind, 223s. We keep going on and on. He has a mixed personality that he plays with, where he says one is Melly, one is Melvin. I'm not sure if he actually has any form of mental illness or anything of that sort, but he does say it a lot. He does try to mention it. His music make it known. And he's currently on trial for murder of his friends. He actually just finished up trial, and what's currently happening is that they're setting up for a retrial in September sometime. He'll be in court at the same time as his co-defendant, and we'll have more details as it comes out, as this is definitely a very interesting story, and I would like to see how it finishes to play out. So I kept this part of the doc short, but YNW Melly is definitely on trial. He's facing the death penalty. He lost his previous trial, and it was pretty much thrown out as a mistrial because someone swayed the jury, one of the jurors, and pretty much deliberated. She threw it off, and it was documented. They put it everywhere, but we'll get more in details about this one later. Let's get on to the next person. POOH SHIESTY is a rapper from Memphis, Tennessee who signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records. He's known for his collabs with Lil Durk, Big Scar, Big 30, Gucci Mane, the list goes on and on. He was arrested back in 2020, and I have the footage here. I'm not going to try to break it down too much. I'm going to let them break it down.
Now, on just one station, surveillance cameras showing a new view of a violent shootout in a parking lot of a South Florida apartment building. The barrage of bullets sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Broad daylight bullets, 2 hit, over $500,000 in exotic cars. All of it on surveillance video obtained exclusively by 7 News from October in ultra-quiet Bay Harbor Islands.
I got that night because I'm fine.
And it involves a recording artist, POOH SHIESTY, except unlike this clip, what happened here was no music video. The footage shows a McLaren sports car, Mercedes Maybach, and another Mercedes pull into this East Bay Harbor Drive condo parking lot. Men from the vehicles eventually get out and meet, and then this. The man in the white shirt has a pistol. The man in the black sweatshirt has a longer gun, and at about the same time, they begin firing before retreating back to the Maybach. The fancy getaway cars speed off, and one of 2 victims then hobbles to the car.
Skyforce 836.
The victims ended up at Aventura Hospital with injuries. But back to the scene for a moment. Police say the famous rapper was in that McLaren.
If I shoot my gun 300 shots.
Police and prosecutors say POOH SHIESTY was part of the group that ended up in this parking lot that October afternoon where the shots flew, and it happened right across the street from the police department and town hall here in Bay Harbor Islands, and days before an arrest.
The town of Bay Harbor Islands says you're wanted for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon.
He's also charged with armed robbery. Bay Harbor Police names 1 other for aggravated battery in their affidavit, saying the 2 left the state in a private jet. Police also using these Instagram photos, showing SHIESTY with an assault-style rifle and cash as part of their case.
Now, that's just one of his cases. He also has another case for firing a firearm in a club, which is crazy. He was sentenced to a total of 63 months, 5 years in prison. And I mean, pretty much that's the end of the story. We just gotta wait and see until he's out. But I mean, the story of POOH SHIESTY is crazy. I thought he was gonna be around for a while. I thought he was gonna continue to drop hits, but unfortunately he has to take a seat. But let's continue. Hot Boy is a rapper from Orlando, Florida. He signed with Jiffin Records and Interscope. He's best known for his breakout single, Don't Need Time. He's also known for his collab with Future, Nobody Special. Now, Hot Boy turned himself in earlier this year following RICO charges. He was charged along with 34 other people following a 9-month investigation into the Orange County gang investigation or gang violence. According to the article, throughout the course of the investigation, 15 guns were pulled off the street breach, which included 2 stolen guns, and 2 were directly involved in King's death. King was a teenager that was killed, and investigators believe that the shooting was done by Anthony Barnes and Jarquarius Simpson. Jarquarius Simpson is also known as Glock 9, which he's included in this RICO. He and 34 other people, along with Hot Boy, are facing 32 racketeering charges. The case has 34 defendants. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially it. It was a multi-agency takedown to end gang violence in Central Florida. Now, what surprises me is that Glock 9 and Hot Boy are on the same case. It doesn't really surprise me that, considering the type of music they make, considering what they're talking about, and that they have so many other previous charges that they're arrested. But that was the big surprise to me. I hope they're both doing well and they can come out rehabilitated and focus on music, because I did like their music, like I said. And yeah, let's keep going. Now, this one was a big surprise to me. Growing up, my dad used to play Mystical a lot. I don't really know too much about him in terms of his music, but I do know a couple songs by him. Not just a couple songs, but they're pretty big songs. I think they're pretty well-known songs. But focusing on the case, not the music, Mystical was actually indicted for first-degree rape.
Was booked into the Ascension Parish Jail after deputies responded to a call about a sexual assault case. 51-year-old Michael Tyler, also known as Mystical, was arrested on multiple charges, including first-degree rape and domestic abuse battery. Detectives interviewed a victim at a hospital who sustained injuries. The investigation led to Tyler being identified as a suspect. This is not the first time Tyler has faced charges regarding sexual misconduct. In 2003, the rapper pleaded guilty to sexual battery and spent time in prison. All persons are presumed innocent until proven guilty.
As I said before, I don't condone raping or hurting women in any way, shape, or form. But with this case, Mystical is facing life in prison. I've seen really nobody support him except Master P. I have this clip as well. Now, I don't know if he did it or if he didn't do it. Maybe Master P has more insight into it. But ultimately, if he did it, he does need to take the time to sit down behind bars and be rehabilitated. But ultimately, it's just another sad story of another rapper, especially a legendary rapper that probably could be on tour, probably could get women without having to force himself on them. Not saying like that's any justification or if that's to sway if he's innocent, guilty. I have no opinion on that. But, it's just sad overall. Like, you should be free and doing concerts, but let's move on to the next person. Tory Lanez is a Canadian rapper that has so many songs, so many remarkable projects. I have to say he is a remarkable artist. However, he has been sentenced to 10 years in prison for shooting superstar Meg Thee Stallion, who is also amazing, in the foot. During this time in court, and even before they went to court, Tory Lanez was pretty much saying he was innocent. He was saying that Meg was lying. I heard all type of rumors saying it was potentially the best friend or something of that sort. But ultimately, the case went to trial. Meg testified against Tory, and Tory was found guilty of the crimes. Since then, he has been in police custody. He's been handed down a 10-year sentence, and essentially he's just waiting to serve it out. I did see he got some credit for time served, so he won't have to do the whole 10. I'm sure it'll be, something shorter, but ultimately it's not right to shoot women, hurt women in any way, shape, or form. So I can't stand with Tory with that, and it's just another sad story of an artist that's currently locked up when he should be free. Fetty Wap is an artist, rapper, you can classify him as a singer from Paterson, New Jersey. He rose to prominence in 2015 when he dropped his hit song Trap Queen. The song went crazy. He followed up with multiple hits, My Way, 679, the list goes on and on. But Fetty Wap was indicted and sentenced to 6 years in federal prison for drug trafficking conspiracy, according to the Eastern District Attorney's Office for New York. Fetty Wap was sentenced to 6 years of imprisonment and 5 of post-release supervision for conspiracy to distribute cocaine. On March 7th, 2023, Judge Shaber sentenced Maxwell's co-defendant Anthony Sentai, a New Jersey correction officer, to 72 months imprisonment for his role in the trafficking conspiracy. Now, they're alleging that Fetty Wap and his conspiracy ring, his organization, were trying to distribute 100 kilograms or more of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, crack cocaine, all across Long Island and New Jersey, which is crazy. Because it's like, I mean, you were making hit songs. I'm sure you were still getting royalty checks. You could still do a show. Even if it's like a show like Love and Hip Hop, like you're still Fetty Wap. You could do your thing. So it's like, what made you just, you know, I'm going back to trapping. Like, I'm on my trap queen vibe. So I don't know. It's a little disturbing. It's a hard, you know, thing to try to comprehend. But, you know, from the charts to the prison cells, unfortunately, and we just have to keep going down the list. YFN Lucci is an artist from Atlanta who rose to prominence in about 2014 when he signed with Think It's a Game Entertainment. Through this deal, he put out many projects including his Key to the Streets EP, the Wish Me Well series, and many more. Now, YFN Lucci is currently locked up on RICO charges and he's accused of participating in a drive-by.
Others indicted on racketeering charges as part of a massive gang crackdown. And that is our top story. Police say the charges are all related to the Bloods gang activity spanning over a decade. Joe Ripley live in Atlanta for us this morning. And Joe, YFN Lucci is the big name here. Walk us through the allegations.
Oh yeah, known among several radio stations, DJs, concert goers around the Atlanta area. Rayshawn Bennett, who goes by the stage name YFN Lucci, was out on bond in connection with the shooting death of a man here in Atlanta back in December, and now he will be ordered back to jail as part of the gang sting. The GBI formed a gang task force in 2019 focused on prosecuting gang members under state anti-gang laws. So that actually helped the Fulton County District Attorney's Office land this indictment. 75 pages, 105 counts in total, all against 12 men allegedly associated with the Bloods gang in Atlanta and Miami. The indictment shows organized criminal activity dating back to 2010. Rayshawn Bennett's name comes up in February of 2020 when he appears to throw up gang signs and use certain lyrics in a music video called Shine On.
She did a RICO indictment, and this is something that is unusual. The indictment ranges from murder all the way down to possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
As of 2019, the GBI reported 70,000 gang members here in the state of Georgia. 11 Alive has reached out to the Fulton County DA's office. They were not available for comment. We've also reached out to Rayshawn Bennett's attorney, but have not heard back yet. Sheba.
All right, Joe.
There was an update for YFN Lucci's case a couple months ago where they said that he denied a deal that was offered to him
in the long-running RICO case against Atlanta rapper YFN Lucci. Tonight, his defense team says he's rejected a plea deal that would have sent him to prison for nearly 20 years. Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis recommended a 20-year sentence with 17 years served in prison. The rapper, whose real name is Rayshawn Bennett, is one of a dozen men indicted on racketeering and RICO charges back in 2021. The group's charges are related to alleged involvement with the Blood Street Gang. Bennett's pretrial hearing is set now for August 15th. His attorney says after more than 2 years in custody, they are still waiting for a potential trial date.
Now, prison time is crazy already, but when you start hearing about 20 years, 17, 10 years, it just puts a whole different spin and forever makes me never want to participate in crime and to try to stay away from jail as long. And I mean, if possible, just avoid it completely. I mean, not even if possible, just avoid it completely. Stay out of the way, just do the right thing. But YFN Lucci responded with a statement, because I'm sure a lot of people are questioning what he's thinking, what he's currently going through. And he says, God gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers. Don't cry for me when the war is over. Just know I finally found that peace that I was looking for. I'm all in Houston. Me and Zelly found that drink we was looking for. So I'm guessing he's happy. He's content with the situation as long as he has the drugs. And I've seen videos of YFN Lucci pouring lean too. But I mean, I guess as long as he has the drugs that he needs, he's happy to deal with what he's currently going through. But I hope he keeps his head held high. And you know, unfortunately, it's another rapper, another major rapper. I like a lot of YFN Lucci songs, but it's just unfortunate, another rapper locked up. But let's keep going. Let's go to the last and final rapper on the list. Young Thug is a rapper, singer, songwriter from Atlanta, Georgia. He is known for songs and collaborations with Drake, Gunna. I mean, you can go on and on. This guy has a whole project with Chris Brown, which is amazing. One of my personal favorites. But Young Thug is currently locked up and being held on multiple charges, including RICO charges, participating in a street gang and street gang activity, as well as having a machine gun and commissioning a machine gun as a felon. And I believe there's one more for controlled substance. Now, the YFN Lucci RICO case and Young Thug RICO case are supposed to be connected. Those two are supposed to be responsible for about 90% of the crime in Atlanta, and allegedly, since they've been locked up, crime in Atlanta has begun to fall. Not sure how true it is, not saying it's false, but that's what was said by Atlanta and the city of Atlanta. Now, I think the Young Thug RICO case is a little bit more interesting than the YFN RICO or Lucci RICO case, only because of how much chaos has unfolded during this case. Let's just take a look for a second at some of the things that have unfolded.
A major development in a huge racketeering case. The Atlanta-born rapper Gunna, whose given name is Sergio Kitchens, made a deal with prosecutors.
Young Thug is back behind bars. He was just booked last night into the Fulton County Jail. The jail records show Quantavious Greer, also known by his rap name as Unfunk, faces 2 charges: possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and unlawful for a person employed or associated with a criminal street gang. Back in December, Greer took a plea deal in the ongoing YSL RICO case. As part of the deal, he was not allowed to possess
that slime shit. Fuck the police, fuck them in a high speed, 100 rounds in a Tahoe. I'm prepared to take them down. Got banana clips for all these niggas acting monkey. This, that slime shit. This, that mob shit. Fuck the judge, YSL. And
attorney representing a defendant charged in the Young Slime Life gang trial claims the state's not doing enough to protect the people who are too poor to pay for their own defense. Channel 2's Michael Seiden with us now, live outside the Fulton County Courthouse with the growing frustration.
And Justin, that attorney telling us that she isn't making enough money for this case. She's thinking about starting her own OnlyFans page just to fund her legal services. More on that in a moment, but another busy day here in the courthouse. In fact, tight security again. I had to put this wristband on that shows that I went through the double security checkpoint to get inside the courtroom. Once we got inside, though, defense attorneys say what happened inside, they were disappointed. That's because they claim they're not getting enough money to represent those who need public attorneys.
This case is slated to last for about a year, and if you were to do the math, it would be $6 an hour. I can't take any new cases. I can't close any cases. I need something to survive off of.
Criminal defense attorney Angela D. Williams calling out the Georgia Public Defender Council, which is the state agency that appointed her to represent one of the defendants charged in the Young Slime Life gang case against rapper Young Thug and his alleged associates.
But we were under the impression that GPDC was advocating for us, and once they put those walls up, I'm thinking maybe I need to start an OnlyFans?
D. Williams says she came to court today hoping to question GPDC's executive director, Amatayo Ali.
I asked for additional funds back in March, and that was met with a letter from the director saying she doesn't need to meet with me anymore.
But the executive director never took the stand. Instead, one of her lawyers stepped in for her.
I'll just stand on my motion as far as my argument to hear what Ms. Ali could possibly have to offer the court that couldn't be available through me or someone else.
okay, let me take a few minutes out and let me let you talk with Ms. Glazier.
After a 10-minute closed-door meeting between D. Williams and GPDC, the two parties agreed they would meet again within the next 2 weeks. While a spokesperson for GPDC says they're working to find additional funds for lawyers who are currently getting paid $15,000 for this entire case.
If they really cared about those who are indigent, they would use the taxpayers' money wisely.
And guys, just the latest numbers we have dating back to August. The reality situation is 85% of defendants in Georgia are indigent. And as of last August, again, more than 600 were unrepresentative. Again, though, a spokesperson for that state organization says they are working to find alternative funding. But of course, right now, there are 4 attorneys in this case who could potentially be leaving because of lack of funds.
Contraband in court. Atlanta rapper Young Thug is already facing a slew of RICO charges, but now there are new allegations against him and a fellow YSL defendant. Here's what happened. We got this video from court. Take a look at the part we highlighted here. Do you see this? Right there. According to court motions, Young Thug's fellow defendant Khalif Adams passed Percocet to Young Thug under the guise of a handshake right in front of the entire courtroom. Adams is serving a life sentence for murder. Now, right after what you see there in that video, court documents say that law enforcement immediately moved in to search Adams, who resisted. But once they searched him, the documents say they found more contraband, including Percocet, marijuana, and tobacco, all wrapped in plastic, and food seasonings to mask the smell. The court documents go on to say officers thought Adams swallowed even more contraband, so they rushed him to Grady Hospital. They say court had to be delayed for the rest of.
Now, I will be continuing to talk about this story, especially since the DA of this case is the same DA that's attempting to seek charges against Donald Trump. So we'll continue to follow this. We'll continue to update this story, but I think this is definitely going to be one of the most interesting cases. The DA is also the same one going after YF and Lucci, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But you know, that's the last rapper on this list. Now, all in all, I didn't do this to be objective. I didn't create this documentary to in any way put these rappers down. I just wanted to highlight that, you know, maybe a reason why labels and, rap music isn't selling so well is because there's so many hit makers in jail. I mean, just going down this list, Young Thug, YFN, Lucci, Tory Lanez, that's 3 big rappers right there that, were making hits. And I could keep going. 42 DUGG, YNW Melly, like these guys have big songs. I mean, there's more rappers than this. I mean, I'm sure this list is even longer. And, there's still rappers that I didn't even name that are still, pending trial. They're out on bond. They're not necessarily locked up. But, we got ASAP Rocky. We got Ugly God. We got Polo G, who was recently arrested. We got G Herbo. We got Gunplay. We've got Kodak Black. We have Boosie. Boosie is, really surprising. But, I mean, his case is interesting. It seems like the feds were trying to get Boosie and trying to seek charges, but ultimately I think in hip-hop we have to tighten up, and I think rappers have to move smarter. You have to understand that you're a target not just by regular people, but by the police, especially because of the type of music you're making, because you're in bull, so you have to just be more cognizant of that and just move correctly and protect yourself, of course, but maybe hire security guards, maybe just move somewhere where you don't have to worry about that type of stuff. Stop trying to be so much involved. But I hope you guys enjoyed this documentary. This is Life as We Know It. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed the content, please leave me reviews. This is the first documentary I've made. Never done any sort of content like this before, but I wanted to talk about this. This is something I'm really passionate about, and it just really saddens me to see so many artists that I love, locked up and potentially doing years upon years, potentially life in prison for some of these guys. So, I hope these rappers tighten up, and, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Life as We Know It. I am out until the next video. Peace.